All right, family. You live with the general. You already know what time it is. We're gonna have a fire presentation today. We're gonna be talking about when African consciousness touched Michael Jackson in his video. Remember the time working with John Singleton, who is also another African centered brother who put out a lot of extremely excellent black movies. You feel me? From what did John Singleton put out? I believe Boys in the Hood. What else he put out? John Singleton. I'm gonna get all the movies that John Singleton put out, but most definitely he was one of the premier black directors of all time. Matter of fact, let me get before we get started, family. I want y'all to get over there to Patreon. We got the link right there in the top of the chat. We highlighting today time for spiritual warfare or leave it alone. That's right. Spiritual artillery. If you can't load it up and use it for spiritual artillery, then you might as well just go and leave it alone. You see, time for spirit. And also, family, let's get in here now. We talking about the ancient Egyptian origins of hip hop. We're gonna talk about it. That's right. We taking it all the way back to the mother of all civilization, Egyptian Kush civilization, Nile Valley civilization. But let's tap on into this because I seen, all the time, we always got niggas that want to flee from us. They want to flee from I promote black power, black consciousness. But see, the black consciousness came through the portal of African consciousness. Okay, so when you start talking about the in-depth, advanced studies of black consciousness, which was through the melanin, came through Dr. Richard King, who was an African-centered scholar. See, y'all want to flee. See, y'all want to blur the lines to pretend like somehow you had something to do with it, because anybody could scream black. Yes, it is a level of divinity, but that divinity came through the African consciousness. You understand what I'm saying? Through Dr. Ben showing us on the wall that the Egyptian gods was black. This was the highest level of divinity, showing us men, the God men and Amen and the Lord of the perfect black, the great God Osar and the great goddess Aset. And Dr. Richard King, who introduced us to the advanced science of melanin, who was a African-centered scholar up under Dr. Ben and Dr. John Henry Clark. Okay, so don't try to blur the line. Wasn't none of y'all talking about, just saying black is beautiful and all of that. Yes, that's very, but now we got it down to a science. And it was through African consciousness that we obtained this advanced science of black divinity, you see, of black divinity, you see. And so, of course, but a lot of us, so your mind, see, don't flee from me. Okay, don't flee from me. Don't come in here and try to blur the line so you think you can come in, and hide in the smoke as if you had something to do with this. No, sir. You either pay homage or you go on and perpetrate the fraud like you've been doing. You see, but see, we also showing where the African consciousness had touched all aspects of our being in Black America. You see, no other time, you massy, no other time have any other segment within the Black community had a social movement that touched every sector of our total being, from music, from television, to Hollywood, to literature, to education, to medicine, to fashion, to language. Everything about us at that time had come into synchronicity. Everything was in sync. You see, you had the rappers over here. You had the X Clans, you had the PEs, you had the Paris, the Cam, you had the Ice Cubes, you had the Poor Righteous Teachers, you had Arrested Development, you had all of this, and at the same time, you had the scholars that was on them going all across the country at the height So at the height of Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, late 80s, all through the 90s, you see Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad at the same time, the Holy Trinity of African Black consciousness. You see, Dr. Clark always emphasized Africa. You see what I'm saying? Dr. John Henry Clark. And so it was through the African consciousness that we gain a understanding of our advanced Black consciousness. Not just saying Black is beautiful and all of that. No, 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 no. We talking about the melanin, and we black it up. That it was Dr. Richard King that you understand what I'm saying, and even Bobby Hemming that even gave birth to the occult. You see what I'm saying? Let's deal with it. Yeah, let's deal with it. It was the study of Richard King because Bobby, heavy on the melanin. That's what he about. But who gave birth to that? You see, on an advanced level, Dr. Richard King, and he says that. So don't come in here and try to weasel your way out of this, you massy. Get back on in here. I know you got your moccasins on, your high heel moccasins. Don't flee from me. When you put something in there, be ready to back it up. You see, and so we see where this was one of the most powerful videos of all time, without a doubt. Remember the Time by Michael Jackson. Put all the black stars in it. This is a powerful, you understand, image to show Egypt. You see what I'm saying? But who was that? Dick Gregory. He was close to Michael Jackson. You understand what I'm saying? He said Michael Jackson was, man, listen, when you look at some of Michael Jackson's albums and shit, them niggas was into the occult. You see what I'm saying? He had some, even though again the nigga was he was on some levels I don't want to speak on because it's obvious, you know what I'm saying? But he wasn't no damn dummy. You see what I'm saying? I wish he would have went all the way with, and somehow he just, somebody should have got a hold of him. I guess the nigga was far too gone, but there was still a piece of him, you know what I'm saying, that remembered the time. There was still a piece of him that remembered the time. And and I know that John Singleton most definitely, you know what I'm saying, him and Spike Lee, those brothers was African centered. And I'm just trying to figure out what y'all was putting out. All these niggas that put comments and that come out of these other groups and shit, you know what I'm saying? And I say what it is. I don't give a fuck who don't like it. I just say what social. I want to see how y'all affected, you understand, the masses of people. You understand? Y'all never had that type of fire. You see, you only can come and type into the damn the comments and shit. Y'all didn't have no other, even though the Nation of Islam, it was within their own, particular grouping, but they did have a part of the greater African consciousness. Yes, they did. The 5%ers most definitely was in there, but it was revolution. It was African consciousness was the forefront. You understand? Because we was wearing African medallions. We wasn't wearing Asiatic medallions. We was wearing African medallions. We didn't have Pangea or Arabia or none of that. It was Africa, and even the 5%ers had the African medallions on their chest. You see what I'm saying? And so we was teaching the greatness of Africa, and there's some things that's wrong with their teachings about Africa. And I must state that, coming from Farrakhan, silly man, who stated that it was a curse that had been put on woolly hair African people, broad nose, had enough nerve to say that was one of the biggest blunders of his whole life. He can't never live that down. That nigga was confused when he put that shit up there. That nigga lost all respect. That's how I know you don't know shit. If you gonna put some silly shit up there like that, I know you don't know shit. And so this show you that Michael Jackson, the greatest artist on the world, on the world stage, also was affected by the African consciousness. And Dick Gregory was already saying Michael Jackson had books and shit all on the science. That's why when you look at some of his album covers, he especially that one where he had, oh man, it was a cult. He had the mask on. Which one was that? Where he had the mask on? Was that History? He had the mask and all them damn occult symbols on there and shit like that. You know, yeah. He and on that Leave Me Alone video, he had a lot of occult. So, you know, yeah, they most definitely had tapped in on that level. You see what I'm saying? History. I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was, you know, but you know, no, all the things we can always go back to that video. That's a legacy. I love that video because it got all black people in it. You understand? It show Egypt is black, and that's powerful. You see, that is most definitely powerful, and you know, and that just show you in that age, every sector of society has synchro. That's what you call Christ consciousness amongst the masses. When every segment, you know what I'm saying, and they fear that. They say, "Oh, let's shut this shit down." And niggas talking about that white people gave us paying that. How silly is you, nigga? If you see any nigga that work with white people, they promote that motherfucker. They call gatekeepers. Soon as damn African consciousness came and niggas started making them songs, fight the power and all of that, they shut that shit down. If anything the white man create, he's promoting. So you sound silly. Most of the, I mean, look at what Khalid, they fucking censored Khalid Muhammad in damn, in the Congress. What the fuck is you talking about? Dr. Ben was black. Him and they put Lewis Henry Gates on try to put some foul shit out on Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. They put that shit all through the damn New York Times and all of that. You understand? Give him that man a full page in the New York Times to try to attack Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. You a fool, nigga. Sitting up here talking about those is the gatekeepers. You see, those is the gatekeepers, Lewis Henry Gates, and you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to call out two more, you know what I'm saying? Because maybe, you know, since then they tried to get their shit together, but not really. Not really. You understand what I'm saying? Cornell West, you see what I'm saying? Went all the way left, you know? So all of that is fabricated. All of that is fabricated hate. When the facts is put up in your face, it is what it is. No, and I say it again, and I dare anybody to prove me wrong. All you niggas out here, whether you're FBA, whether you're indigenous, whether you're Moor, whether you're the nation, and we'll get a nation because the nation, you know, through the 5%, they had a place in the African consciousness. There's no doubt about it. So I don't want to put them out, but you still dealing with the East. You're not dealing with over here. You're dealing with the East. You see, coming from up out of Africa, coming up out of the Arabian, and you understand, which is still Africa. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, you see. So, but as far as, you know, any other grouping, no other time, and since we've been here, because you niggas has the whole music genre where the dominant platform of the genre was African consciousness. At one point in time, that was the dominant platform. You see, it was the dominant platform as far as making the movies, conscious movies. You see, it was the dominant platform as far as the brothers, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ashaka Musa going around. Where was y'all leaders? When did y'all have a mass social movement? You never had one. Even now, it's just segments. Nigga, you ain't running the music. It's drill music. Y'all niggas ain't running no, y'all put a few little rappers out here. Even the RBG had us, even up into the 2000s. You had Dead Prayers from PE back to 88. We always had mainstream artists kicking the consciousness. Show me one of y'all that's saying FB. Don't say, oh, he's an FB. Don't try to backdate some shit. Don't backdate shit. It's right now. And so show me any motherfucking mainstream artist or they're saying they FBA. Drill music is FBA music. That's what it is. That's what it is. Wait, who says something? That's right. Tupac came out. He did. He came out with the African garb on. But all of his, I mean, that was the part of the Panthers that went African. They went to, you know what I'm saying? Them niggas was over there on the West. They was talking all that Mayo say tongue shit. You know what I'm saying? The ones on the East are naming themselves African names. Mumia, Matula, Asada, Shaka, Finney. You understand? These is all African names. These is all African names. So it was the ones, and them was the ones bringing the smoke. And really, dead presidents was made after that particular grouping, because them was the ones that was riding for real. You understand? Having to flee this motherfucker for real. But anyway, we get Black Family. Look, we got the file over there on Patreon. I want y'all to get over there. The ancient Egyptian origins of hip hop. This is fire. This is pure fire. And then that spirituality, right? You time for spiritual warfare, or leave it alone. Or leave it alone. They ain't got no spirit. They ain't got no spirituality, because the main damn religion of FBA is Christianity. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. Let's deal with it. The dominant religion so thus far, and until you got a little Islam, but up until that point, that was and still is the dominant religion of most what you want to call foundational Black Americans. So when you niggas get mad, we know why you're mad, because we on your white Jesus and you can't take it. But anyway, family, yeah, I'm in the house. Yeah, I'm in the house, family. I see y'all in them. You say, oh, Mike, show. Yeah, he did show the magic. You ain't bullshitting, family. You did. You didn't. You hit it on the head right there. You did. That's why I was saying he was in the occult. You know what I'm saying? He was into the occult. So there it is. You hit it on the head. I'll see y'all in a minute, family. Black Pop.